Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
25 minutes now to go to 8 o'clock as we reach again to our Work Consultancy Inc. expert, the CEO, Britney Seeley. Good morning to you, Britney.
Good morning, Pearson. It's always a pleasure to be back. How are you?
Thank you. The pleasure is ours, and I'm very well today. Thank you for asking. Let's talk a little bit today, Brittany, about employee engagement. A lot of people present to work, but a lot of people present unengaged, disengaged from their work. What's causing that, do you think?
Yeah, so I am so happy that that we're talking about employee engagement today because first of all, many persons may not even know what employee engagement is. And like you mentioned, it is how persons are actually operating in the work environment. Are they passionate about what they're doing? Do they feel like part of the team? This is all what employee engagement speaks towards, their productivity, etc. So we're going to tackle some of those do's and don'ts today, and I'm very excited to share them with you.
So walk through them with me if you don't mind. Where do we start? Those
Sure. So
do's and
let's
don'ts.
start with what you do.
Mm-hmm.
Last week, we talked about professional development, and this even applies to employers as well. You need to invest in your entire team's personal and professional development. Last week you asked a really interesting question. You said, what if you have that star employee and they decide to leave? And I told
Yes.
you, don't worry about it. But the reason for that is that you should be investing in the entire team so that the onus does not lean on that one person. So, what happens, therefore, is that you are boosting up your entire team and they're therefore more productive. They're able to contribute to your organization in greater ways.
So,
And persons can
mm-hmm.
invest. Oh, go ahead.
Go
Sorry.
ahead. No, go ahead. Finish.
Right. I was saying that persons can invest in their employees through the same professional development. So through courses, persons send them to school, etc. But they can also engage them through different team building workshops. But you also need to invest in your HR managers. How are they
Mm.
being supported during this time? How is the CEO being supported during this time? So it starts from the bottom up and from the top down.
That's interesting because often we figure that, you can refill yourself, recharge yourself because you have to charge up those with whom you have responsibility. So it's important that we also find ways to refuel our HR manager and also refuel our chief executive officers and GMs. Very good advice. Those are some of the things we do for the entire team, and you underscored that word. What are some of the
Yes,
things that we don't do?
you don't show favoritism.
No, that could be
That
very
is
hard.
not, yes, it might be difficult, but that is something that you do not do because you want your entire team to feel important. You want all of their opinions to feel valued, and you want them to feel that they are directly linked to the organization's success. So please, as much as you can, do not show favoritism.
And often that favoritism can be shown with the extra time spent with, it could be shown with the extra thing you give. So to be very, very careful of that and reward the team as opposed to rewarding the individual. Those are some of the things that,
Precisely.
okay. Because
Yes, and
oftentimes,
that's why we touched on investing in your entire team, not just that one person.
but oftentimes we find it so difficult to model the best behavior because it's all we know. And you're saying now you know better, you're expected to do better.
Yes, for sure. And employee engagement is rising. When you look at statistics, you're seeing persons in the West really taking advantage of it because they realize that it is directly linked to your product, your services, and your team's overall productivity. And then eventually profitability. So employee engagement, extremely important.
Totally. So what are some other do's and don'ts?
The next thing you do, and I'm so sorry that I have to say this, but persons really do need to be reminded to treat your team like human beings. Persons are not robots. They have feelings, they have families, they go through difficult times just like you. And therefore, oftentimes you hear, leave your feelings at the door, leave your issues at the door because you're coming into an organization and you need to put on your best face. But really and truly, the 21st century and even our COVID environment has shown us that persons go through a lot daily. So instead of treating persons as if they're robots, instead you should look to support your team. Do you offer welfare services for your team? Do you offer mental health support? Do you offer a fund that persons can access if they're low on cash? What things do you offer for your organization to really show them that you care? Because if you remembering that they're not robots, if you invest more in your employees, then they are going to treat your work better. They are going to want to come to work. They're going to want to give 110% because they realize that they're being valued in the organization.
Strong advice. One of the things I like to talk about a lot is, when you're introducing new concepts that you'd like to have the team practice, for those in leadership roles to recognize that that team becomes almost childlike again because it's new. And so you have to have
Yeah,
that patience. You have to be able to
you
hold
do.
their hand and walk it through with them until they're strong enough to be able to practice this new concept on their own. But oftentimes that's not what's done. It's like an edict comes down, you're to do this from tomorrow. And you're
Yes.
expected therefore to become a genius almost instantaneously. That's not fair.
It is not fair. And I'm so happy that you mentioned that because this is the tender, loving care that we all need during this time. COVID has been extremely difficult for persons, and that is why employee engagement is so essential to taking their organizations to the next level right now. So you're absolutely right, Pearson.
Yeah, it just builds up a lot of frustration in people, and they disengage or they just leave your organization when it's really through no fault of theirs. They're just protecting themselves. And we must be
Precisely. And if
sensitive
you
to that.
think, yes, precisely. And if you think about it, during this environment with jobs being so tight right now, persons are not just going to leave an organization like that. So then you really need to examine your company. Why is it that this person wants to leave? Is it a career change? They're not satisfied anymore. Again, that's something you can't fix. But is it because of the working conditions? If it is, then that is something you can fix because then you can easily end up leaving your highly prized talent, like we would have mentioned last week.
Yep, indeed. So the critical thing here is not to become a dictator. Do not become a dictator.
No, 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 no. By treating persons as human beings, then you realize that you treat them like a team. You're not going to man over someone or woman over someone,
It's so
but you
true.
do want to treat them as part of the team.
Well done. Any other do's and don'ts?
Yes, share feedback with and
Ah,
solicit feedback from your team. So, as persons embark now on their employee engagement journey, it is very important to first find out what do your team members want because it's not going to look the same for every organization. But I need to implore on persons that employee engagement can happen in every sector. You just need to find out how your employees would love to be supported. And if you are now embarking on this journey for the very first time, I would say as a CEO, as an HR manager, own up. Say,
hmm.
I'm sorry that I have not taken this initiative previously, but now I'm willing to listen to you. I want to do better and I want you to feel like a better part of the team. And I think that that's extremely important because then it becomes a continuous learning journey. You're learning, okay, well, this is what my employees need right now. They might need mental health support right now. But then next year, they might need financial support. You may need to bring in someone to do webinars on how they can become debt free. All of these are things which may be important to your employees, and unless you solicit feedback from them, you will never know.
For a lot of people, though, there's a lack of trust in how that is gone about because oftentimes they want to help. Yes, they appear to help, but then after 2 months or so, that help goes away, and then you have to start all over again, rebuilding that trust and comfort to share. And what's your advice then to an HR practitioner who is struggling with that? They don't have the time to really solicit the feedback in the way that would make a difference.
I would say that it's key. You need to solicit that feedback because that is the only way you would know where your organization is currently and where you can take it in the future. And this actually leads into the point of don't think you know it all or can do it all. Because if you are time lapse, you can solicit the advice of other organizations of different companies. There are different consultancies out there that you can reach out to help you with this. But you can also look to other persons within the company, perhaps have a conversation with your CEO, your general manager, and say, here are the things I've been noticing as an HR manager, and I think we can actually support our staff even better.
I like that. You don't think you know it all. There's some who would come into an organization that has been in existence for a long time and walk in and figure, I was elsewhere and this is the way we did it, this is the way we shall do it, because somehow you don't seem to know how to do this. What do you,
Yeah.
what do you say to that kind of attitude?
The world thrives on innovation. We cannot be living in the past. And perhaps that's how it was done 10 years ago. But like I mentioned, the pandemic changed everything. It really showed employers that you need to value your employees because they are so fragile during this time. And this is why you need to treat persons as human beings. And even in terms of the point you made with soliciting trust within the organization, trust is built over time, and trust is always earned. So therefore, it needs to be that one-on-one feedback process going continuously, and I have no doubt it will improve.
I'm so hopeful that everyone watching today and those who are entrusted with this opportunity to develop their own skill sets and to adjust their own skill sets is paying attention, because it's so important that we effect positive changes in our work environments, particularly now, as you've said, where all the other pressures are brought to bear. There's somebody at home who's not earning as much because they've been laid off, and a whole host of other factors within the work environment that makes us all scared. So invest in the entire team, personal and professional development. Do not show favoritism. That's a do and a don't for sure we talked about today. Treat your team like human beings and do not become a dictator. So important also today. Another point made. Share feedback and solicit feedback with your team. So it's a two-way street here. Share it and you hear it. So don't think you know it all and that you can do it all, because it's a
Yes.
team effort.
Yes, Pearson. And I just want to show persons that this is not being pulled from a random hat. There are statistics to show that this works. So Gallup is really focused on employee engagement. They've been doing a study for around 15 years, monitoring the engagement of companies and how it's directly linked to productivity and profitability. So this slide is really to equip HR managers, because you may go to your CEO, your general manager, and say, employee engagement is important, and they may say, show me the figures. Well, here they are. Highly engaged workplaces see a 10% increase in customer ratings and a 20% increase in sales. And why is that? Because this engaged team is going to be sharing the feedback with you on how you can bring new innovative ideas to the market. They're going to have better customer service because they actually enjoy coming to work. And this is exactly going to be shown in the bank. You are going to see the numbers increase, and it will be directly tied to your more engaged workforce. But additionally, businesses with a strong learning culture enjoy employee engagement and retention rates around 30 to 50% higher than those who don't. So if you notice that that your organization has an issue with retaining employees, you may need to take a step back and look at your employee engagement. How is your organizational culture? Are you treating persons like robots, or are you treating them like human beings? This is really a conversation, sometimes a difficult one for employers to have with themselves, because we need to work together. That is the only way that employees are going to feel valued. They're going to get value out of their work. And this is the only way that companies will be able to increase their profitability with new innovative ideas.
Britney City, you're continuing to impress me. Chief Executive Officer and founder of Work Consultancy, Inc. Thank you so much again for joining us. We'll discuss with you offline what we're going to talk about next week, but thank you so very much, Britney.
No problem. Thank you, Pearson. Take care.
You're very welcome. Likewise, Brittany Seeley, boy, sage advice. I hope you grab hold of it and grab hold of the opportunity to work with her so that she can work with you to effect that increase in sales, increase in employee engagement, and certainly the bottom line looks better. 11 to 8 o'clock. We're taking a break. When we come back, we'll look at how you can dry your herbs at home and really have those savory meals. Stay with us.
Morning, morning, morning.